pretty candid about personal stuff he went through. Obviously, you weren't around for that. But what have you seen from him that gives you confidence?
He's still adjusting through that. I mean, a guy that just doesn't shut down when you get that much adversity is really good. So for him, he's still growing through it. That's something I went through that in college at the same age, losing my dad, and there's no timetable where like in 6 months you're gonna feel better. You know, it's a process, and everybody works through that. And he's doing a really good job. He's still adjusting. I mean, there's times where we talk and doing things, but the sanctuary and the time to like take a deep breath, as we talked a little bit before, is when you're out on the field. Like when you're at practice and you step on the line, it's like you can shut that down for a little bit and just leave everything on the outside. And he really tried to do that this spring. Physical, powerful, right? Best games ahead of him still. You know, a lot of these kids are like in high schools and they come out of programs where like they didn't get spring football or they didn't get to do it year round. Then their best ball's still ahead of them, just by more reps and more strength and more seeing it. So I'm excited about him in the fall.
Practice 1 to practice 15. Where did you see your team starts and tackles at the biggest step?
Just understanding the inner workings of the game. You know, because the tackle position, you want to take a lot of reps. Paris moving back out there. Just the understanding of when I have help, when I don't have help. You know, if I'm on slide side versus man side, what can I do? You know, cut my splits, doing some things. So I think the inner workings and the tools of the game really, those guys started to gravitate and grab onto of like, oh, this is the play where I can do this and this will help me, so that you know it eliminates, trims some of the fat on the plays.
I'm not asking you to make a declaration it's going to be official. Do you see the tools in place that a lot of people see?
No, he's a highly skilled guy. He's going to pull the combine out of the water, and he's going to test well. He's going to jump well. He's going to do the interview phase as well. I mean, he's a high-level player. We're going to get him there to play that. Because ultimately, that's what you got to do. When you press play, you got to play like a first-round draft pick. So all these guys are smart. Dewan on the other side. I mean, Luke Whipper on the inside. Matty Jones, you know, is kind of coming out of the shell. Like all these guys, they're all just trying to maximize themselves. You know, and let those guys that were in Vegas this past couple of weeks up to make a big win decision.
Is that a different level of pressure, though, to go into a season and see your name kind of projected as, say, a first-round pick? Have you seen
you know, personally, I wouldn't know. I was always that guy. Like, yeah, he's a starter. He played a lot of games. He's a tough, you know, all those adjectives of he's a tough guy. He's a great kid. He's, you know, a smart football player, which really meant you're just not good enough. So I never had that problem. I would assume so, but like Paris and Dewan, all those guys that are coming in the back end of their career now and start seeing the stuff, like they're locked in. I get videos and calls from Dewan at home right now when he's on his break, like, Coach, I'm doing this set, is this good? Like, they're just workers. They just want to be great. So, you know, whatever you guys write, whatever's on the TV, yeah, that's out there. You can't say, oh, they don't see it. But I just have a good feel with these guys right now. Like, they just want to work and be their best, and you know, whatever happens is supposed to happen.
Do you have a veteran like Matt Jones on the inside and the second-year center like Luke, first-year offensive line? How important is that, not only for the offensive line, but for you to be able to put things in and know that those guys are experienced enough to just pick up?
I mean, yeah, it helps having experienced guys, because then you're never going to skip a step, right? You're going to install phase 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4, but as you're going through that, you may progress a little faster. So I think it's just a comfort for those guys. And once again, like, it's not really about me, but like if I'm CJ or one of the quarterbacks that plan, like, that's where I have a lot of confidence. So like, that guy knows what he's doing. That guy's going to make the call, and that guy's going to do his job. So I can just do my job. So it's more of a comfort thing. Like for me, like we're going to coach it, we're going to install it, we're going to drill it. When you have really good players like those guys, they can do it at a high level. You got to get them to do that, and the guys around them are the ones that really. That's where the more comfort is for those guys.
You were sort of talking about like in recruiting, maybe before, hey, those are guys, I'd love to recruit a guy like that. And here at Ohio State, you have that opportunity. This is obviously nothing against any player you've ever coached in your career, but there are some guys on this roster, Paris, Dewan, right, who have obvious NFL goals, high-end NFL goals. Is it any different coaching guys like that? Again, you've coached great players, but maybe not somebody, for instance, with the natural skills of Paris Johnson.
You mean different at what?
I don't know. Do you to pull the best out of somebody who has that much natural talent? Do you talk to them any differently? Do you coach them in a different style, or do you demand more?
No, in my opinion, is like you have to have a good temperature gauge of every kid, right? The old days, in my opinion, once again, just the only guy's opinion, but like the old days are like, this is how we do it, this is why we do it, and go do it. If you don't do it, get the hell away. Like, you can't coach or teach that way. Everybody has a different path to get them to be their best version of themselves. So our job is on the field, obviously, right? So no, you find out what makes Harris tick. You find out what makes Donnie tick. You find out what makes Luke tick. Like, you just go around these guys. How do you get Jacob James to play his best? And then you hold them to that standard and poke and prod and push or hug or love or whatever the adjective is there to get them to maximize themselves. Because then when it's 3rd and 2, it doesn't matter how they get there. We've got to get the first down. So whether you do it with a little bit of sugar and salt with this guy, and it's a little more gruff with this guy, and it's a little more tip sheets or walk with this guy, like, that's your job as a coach, is to find a way to make those guys be at their best. And then along the way, as I've said multiple times this minute, like, then that's where the relationship is. Because then they look at you and have the utmost of trust, like, this guy's going to get the best out of me. So I'm just going to give my best. And it's not a, we're butting heads, or I'm doing it for the coach, or I'm doing it for this. Back to what I talked, like, I got to protect because CJ's got to throw the ball. Right? That's not about me. That's about the guys there being their best and doing that together, doing that. So, no, you coach the kids, and that's part of recruiting. You get them and you find out what makes them tick, how they go, how they fit in your room, and then you kind of find a way to get them to be their best, each individual guy, holding the standard.